No need to tell you who Lego are, but I really want to give a warm welcome to our special guests today, Cerim Manovi, Martin Klingenberg, and Matt Betteker, the creative team from Lego. Just a quick, they'll of course do a much more proper introductions, but just a quick word. This guy here, he literally invented. Okay, what I'm gonna say, okay. He co-invented things like Ninjago and things like Dreams, and this is so huge. I don't know, any one of you who has kids or has anything to do with kids or ever bought a present for kids, you probably spend money on Ninjago. And that's him, the man, the legend, Cerim Manovi, once again. So these guys here, they are creating the IPs, they're creating shows, they're creating these worlds, building these universes full of characters, full of adventure, that kind of entangle our kids' minds and also some of our adult minds as well into these amazing adventures. And today we're here to hear how do you do it. So thank you guys, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Do I have to speak louder? So thanks for having us here. It's a great honor to be invited. And where is the flicker? Can we get a flicker? It's like, we need that. So we are here today to tell you a little bit about Lego Dreams and basically give you a snapshot of how we started to come up with the idea. And before we start, we want to show you a little trailer of, if somebody doesn't know what Lego Dreams is, we're going to just show you a little trailer, if it works. Or back 4, you always have to try out first. No, yes.
Totally share your dream. This is so cool. Hey, get out of here! Best dream ever. It's freaking awesome.
Some new characters he wants. Mateo, I need you to run some homework assignments over your pal. I don't see it. What's wrong with you?
Izzy, we gotta go back to the dream world and save him.
The Lego Group presents
In our dream, he was trapped in some monster jail thing.
a new original series.
We have to find him and save him. That's the plan.
This is the weirdest dream I have ever had.
You have no idea.
Ordinary kids by day,
What's going on? Aren't you supposed to be in class?
dream world heroes by night.
Is he a dream chaser?
Go back to wherever you came from, or else...
What, you'll draw me a mustache?
You literally made a new friend.
B-Blob? Right on! Mr. Oswald?
Who'd you expect, Mateo?
Not my science teacher.
I'll keep the engines running.
Did that monkey just talk?
I'm a chimpanzee, thank you very much. Hang on to something!
The dream world is a vast and wondrous place. We are dream chasers, and it is up to us to protect these realms from the Nightmare King.
Let me show you what real dream crafting looks like.
Unlock your imagination to unleash your power.
Oz says dream chasers help dreamers in trouble, and that's what I'm gonna do. We'll do it together, like a team.
Lego Dreams.
This is the car a secret agent drives?
No, this is the car a middle school science teacher drives.
Coming soon.
You see, everything you've ever dreamed, every mysterious land, crazy building, and mixed up creature is real. They all exist in a dream world. Unlike most people, Izzy and I know we're dreaming, and we have learned to dreamcraft. To do so, we use the power of our imagination. We control magical sand and use it to create anything we can imagine, like rocket sneakers, a sword gun, slinky shoes, and a gigantic hammer. All it takes is some creativity, inspiration and focus, and lots of practice. I even brought one of my own drawings to life, my pal Z-Blob. I can dreamcraft him into anything to help us in the dream world, even a giant robot. Izzy can bring her plushy rabbit Bunshu to life too. They are perfect for rescue and battle because the dream world is under attack. The evil Nightmare King captures sleeping kids and corrupts their imaginations to build his nightmare army. One of these twisted creatures tried to capture a dreamer, but we saved him. That's how Izzy and I met the Dream Chasers. They are a secret organization of agents who protect the real world from the nightmares. In dreams, they find and save captured kids so their dreams will not be used for evil. The Dream Chasers need our help because of our unlimited imagination and because the Nightmare King is the biggest threat the world has ever faced. The dream world has many different realms, and the Nightmare King gets stronger with each realm he conquers. If he controls the whole dream world, his army will be unstoppable, and he can open a rift to invade our world. Nightmares in the real world. That would be bad. Now Izzy and I are dream chasers too. Our mission is to journey through the dream world to free trapped dreamers, master dream crafting, and stop the Nightmare King before it's too late. Are you ready to dream big too? Then let loose your ideas and imagination and join the Dream Chasers.
You have to make sure that you know who is your target audience and how do you have to speak with them. Comprehension is the most important thing because if your audience... Oh, sorry, just black. If your audience doesn't understand what they see, they will not like it, basically. So that's kind of a ground rule. That's why we try to pitch it into these like little story trailers where we show them who are they, what do they need to do, where do they go. So all the little details that you need to create a storyline. So if you think about every franchise that you love or like or whatsoever, there's always the same ingredients that are in there. If you look at Avengers, for instance, you know, the quest for the stones, like the premise is there, the characters are described, so the whole world basically is put together in that way. So we are trying to mimic the same way here to see, like, do the kids comprehend it, do they like it, do they think our idea is actually valid and works? And this is how we get to that point. But in order to go there, we of course need to then distill the different ingredients that we have here. And we want to give you a little snapshot of what that means. So Matt, would you be so kind and talk a little bit about the dream worlds?
Thank you, Cerim. So if you see here, this is a little snapshot of some of the wild experiments that we made in order to show the kids, and really we want to hear them say, "Whoa!" Like this is an exciting place that I would like to explore and learn more about. So some of the experiments we thought about how creativity works and maybe things could actually grow, and the more kids that dream about certain things, these worlds can actually be organic and evolve over time. And we explored, of course, when you go into the dream world, the colors should be super saturated, but also, some experiments around, like, should there be many worlds or realms within this dream world that could be, for example, like cube-shaped, which would be something really nice to translate into Lego, but at the same time, maybe it's too limiting. So we also tried things around, like, if we really scaled things up to the point where it just felt impossible in the real world. So, you see this like giant cheeseburger, if you can see our character in the foreground for reference, and this already tells the kids, okay, we're definitely not in the real world anymore. And of course, in Lego humor, we need to inject, funny ingredients in there. If you saw the giant nose in there as well. And so what we quickly found out, though, was that we needed to create really explore these different dream realms, and the starting point for each of these is different kids' passion points. So, for example, the more kids that dream about fairy tales or video games or junk food or whatever, these worlds can grow and really populate this dream world, and really, the more that you combine these different ingredients is what actually helped the kids understand it as, you're not in the real world anymore.
Actually, we actually got the kids also telling us, what do you want to see? So we exposed them to 20, 30 different passion point islands and said like, okay, how can we get a ranking here as well? Like, especially from boys and girls, are there differences? What are the things that are connected, and so on and so forth? And doing that, we added more and more worlds to this, and then up to you, Matt.
And this is our final dream vision of what this entire dream world could feel like. And again, when you put all this together, it feels you're definitely not in the real world, but it's also like there must be just infinite amounts of these realms in there. And this of course, gives us freedom in the future to just continue building on this dream world and adding more and more of these realms as we develop into the future.
And the beauty of this is like you see all the stuff like put together, all the creativity is just like flowing there. Again, it's super nice that you can engage with your audience group, and whoever that is. Of course, we have the luxury to go out, have these like quantitative studies where you have like 30 kids in a room. We sit in the spy room, we see how they react, and so on, so off. But I also do the same thing with my kids. I just show them the stuff and then see like, can you at least tell me what this is? You don't need to praise your dad, but you can tell me, do you understand how that works, and so on, so off. But to get there, we also needed to create like a design DNA. So everything that you want to create needs some sort of a DNA that there is something that flows through and makes it structural. So when we went to the dream world, we quickly figured out like dreams are so vastly different. Everybody dreams differently. Some are more realistic, some are more like abstract and crazy. If you talk about it, you think more like this, hallucinating dreams or whatsoever that can be a bit weird and so on. And compared to other things like Ninjago, if you know Ninjago, a theme with ninjas have superpower. In Ninjago you have icons, you have the ninja, he has a ninja hood, he has a katana, so you can work with these ones pretty well, and you expose this to your audience, they understand what it is. In dreams, it's a little bit different. We have to figure out like, okay, how do we actually manage to show it? And what we figured out was that dreams and creativity, they kind of work the same. So everything that you see surround you, inspires you, conscious and subconscious, goes into your brain, and then you use that actually to create something new. As in creativity, as in dreams, because the idea is like on the left side you see the kids, they're coming from their little house there, they're passing the tree, they're going to the turtle truck to get some tacos there. Then they're passing on the street level. They see this beautiful red car. In the background, you have the crocodile. And when they go into the dream world, all these impressions change to these like passion point mashups. And this gave us the opportunity to create something that is iconic, fresh, but also differentiated towards something else that is out there already.
And of course, another huge ingredient when developing an IP is looking at the character design. So just like you saw with the worlds, and you're going to see with other things, we try to open the funnel as much as possible at the beginning and exploring tons of ideas of, this is looking at the heroes, also known as the dream chasers. And we're looking at kind of having this dialogue with the kids and learning about what kind of tools really can we give the different heroes to, for example, the pencil and the plushie toys to Izzy, those are our two main characters, and looking at how these can really tell the kids what their passions are and how their powers come out. And of course, we have to mock things up in a physical way, so we build the actual prototypes. And here you see this is the final Dream Chasers lineup. And what's equally important when we develop how they look in the dream world is how do they look in the real world. So here you can see, Matteo and Izzy and all the Dream Chasers. They're just normal everyday kids, which of course the kids can relate to. But when they get into the dream world, that's where they really use their passion in order to solve their challenges and be the Dream Chasers.
And the idea here was like to utilize again the passion point. So we have Matteo, the first character. He loves to draw, so all his creations in the dream world, they are basically based on his passion point. Izzy, she loves anime and plushies, so everything that she can create in the dream world goes into that region. And it's again like you pick your audience and you do something for them as an entry point. So that's the door you do. And maybe I'm the drawing kid, so I can actually see myself in Matteo. Or I love manga, so I can see myself in Izzy, and so on and so forth. And if you can create these without stereotyping them, you actually manage to, to invite as much people as possible in that sense. Another important thing here was also to, heroes, they need powers, and as we said, it's based on the dream world, and we wanted to use the power of creativity. That's the thing that the kids can unleash when they go into the dream world. So we invented the idea of dream crafting, and as you can see in this picture, it's the passion point that then comes alive with their magical power. So they have these hourglasses. There's a timing aspect on it. They can only create certain amount of helpers or creatures that can help them and support them to go on for this great adventure. This is the SketchUp, the concept art lineup that Matt actually drew. So that's a way of us making sure everything is in check marks before we actually can move on and then create, minifigure mock-ups or basically the final result that you saw in the first trailer.
And of course, what kind of villain belongs in the dream world? But the nightmares. So here you can see a little bit of the evolution from the very first concept on the left, where we knew that ultimately these nightmares would be coming into the real world in order to pose a really imminent threat and give a strong sense of mission. But actually what was funny when we showed these first concepts, the kids were like, these aren't scary enough. So we actually had to work to develop a bit more, adding a bit more spikes and a bit more of like menacing things to make it more serious. So you see in the bottom right, that's sort of where things ended up concept art-wise, but also just to point out, there's these little, we introduced these little mini creatures that we had a lot of fun in, as we made things scarier, they also brought in a bit of a lighthearted aspect to make sure it's not too scary.
And of course, what's very important, if you put the villain in there needs to be the motivation, because he probably gonna also make the motivation for the heroes. So the heroes, they need to protect the dream world, in order that the nightmares don't take over. What these guys want to do is the Nightmare King is out there. He wants to steal the dreams of the kids and use their imagination to build up his army, because the nightmares, they don't have creativity. So it's like creativity and anti-creativity kind of. And what he actually wants to do with that is he wants to break on through the other side, and he wants to come to our waking world. So there is a premise with layers in it that you say hey, it's good and evil. Great, we have that, But what is the next thing? You always have to think about but why? Why do we does that, and so on? So what is the motivation? Where does it come from? Of course, when you then go into content, it's much easier to explain. You can spend more time in really diving deep into what is the motivation of that character to do that. If you then go into products, that is something else, because on product, we can show one snapshot on a box that kind of have to tell you the story in a nutshell and get the kids interested and excited about it. So that's why we're going to start talking a little bit about products. So of course we are Lego. We want to do products. That's our main mission, to create cool toys that the kids can play with. And of course we want to make it so it's like a 360 experience. So you have content, you can play with the stuff. And when we presented or made the concept, it's kind of the same process that we are doing. It's a iteration, you exploit your ideas, you funnel down, again with the luxury of exposing this to the kids, having their opinions, and it's not only our opinion or upper management's opinion, but it's actually the opinion of the kids, the audience, that kind of really counts and gives you the validation that this works. And of course you're going to figure out things that you might not expect because you have your own vision, or you like your own things, but that's not naturally what maybe somebody else wants. So it's put yourself in the professional shoes of not only doing things for your own sake and your passion, but also thinking about for whom, what is the audience you want to talk to. And I'll just show you a couple of snapshots here. So on the top, you see the concept art, again, like done by Matt. Then we take these, we say like, okay, until we refine it, and then we actually start utilizing the bricks and do sketch models, as we call them. So you see like all the different iterations of the character called Z-Blob. And it's a huge, development step until you go to the final box, because we do mock-ups, but then of course they need to be right for the price point, right for the age mark. They need to be buildable. So there's all these constraints that are put on there that we as designers have to fulfill and really make sure that these products can actually live. Here's another great example of like Banshu the bunny, where we really went, berserk to see like, okay, girls, how do we get girls? How can we talk to girls? What do they like? I don't know. I've worked 5 years on Ninjago. I know boys very well, So we went out there and really, got in the learnings and said like, okay, what can we do better here? And also the idea is like, if you create an inclusive property, it has to welcome both, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is for everyone, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't, maybe there's a boy that doesn't want to, be engaged with Banshu or whatsoever, but what he needs to do is like, he needs to accept that this thing lives in the same universe that he wants to engage with. So that's the importance of like, yes, you choose your audience, you focus, but then you also have to make sure that there is a broader understanding and it fits into the theme. Another great example of the mashup idea, the Turtle Caravan, that was one of the ideas that came in pretty early, as well as the Shark Ship. So it's the mashups of things. So you have two icons that you can distinguish, but together they make up something that is super, super cool and interesting by itself. And I think what's very important also is like, yes, we, as I talked before, we managed to put the story in the box, so when the kids are getting exposed to that, they understand like, okay, they are trying to sneak up on that boat because they have to free the dreamer that is trapped into the Shelley's shark's belly, and it's such a simple storytelling. So it's again knowing your media. What can you tell where? In content, you have way more different ways of storytelling. Gaming gives you different ways of storytelling because you engage way more with that. It's more interactive. While the box is just that one shot that you have in order to get them in and explain the concept to them. And I think what was also very important for us is, of course, like to make sure that what you see in the show is also playable in a different way, and Martin will tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, the play experience. So I've been waiting quiet on the sidelines because once all of the puzzle pieces are there, so we have the ingredients, we have the different dream worlds, we have our characters, we have the models that we want to do, but how do we convey the experience, our heroes, the superpowers in a Lego box? And that was the task, is how do we get the kids to become the heroes and experience what it means to dreamcraft, to be creative, to use Lego as a tool to bring their own creations to life. So it was also a long way of testing, figuring out what can we do, how can we break it down so everyone understands that gets the Lego box. Maybe they haven't even seen the show, but understand the IP, what it's about. It's about dreams. Why does everything look crazy? Oh yes, I'm in the dreams world, and where's my entry point? What's in it for me? Which things do I like? So and this actually breaks it down quite nicely because, well, you have what the kids see on shelf, you have the box. Then we've created this unique building experience with the build and role play on the building instructions, which is a known format to the kids that know Lego out there. You have the instructions how to build it, but how can we infuse the story layer in it? And how can we get them to engage and actually, in the end, choose their adventure? So you have the build and role play aspect, you have the wonderful illustrations that show the characters transition from the real world into the dream world, also inviting the children. and then finally getting to the point in your adventure where you choose, do I want to go, in this case, do I want to go with the monster truck on the adventure, or do I go for the crocodile truck to take the other path? So it's broken down into 2 paths, like bite size, introducing kids to the creativity.
And just to add to that, we called this guided creativity because what we wanted to achieve is like give the kids the tool and mindset that it's like, it's okay, take the model apart, build something new with it. That's what Lego is all about. We give you basically the formula, and then because in this case, you build the model to a certain point, you see the red car, you build that one, you know what it is, you can start playing with it, and then you're customizing it in order to become like this dream world icon. And you have 2 choices that you can go there. And this is enough to give them the push, you know, to take away the fear of the white canvas and to give them the tool and mindset to say like, hey, yes, after this, I'm going to just build something on my own.
So yeah, we also wanted to give you a little peek behind the scenes because you know what the audience sees, it's all the polished stuff. And we wanted to show you what is the process like. So with all these ingredients, like taking a look at the models, how do they translate into story, where are the breaks, we come up with a storyboard, and then Matt gets these little sketches that are barely stick figures with descriptions of what we kind of envision for each step, and then Matt translates them into a comprehensible picture that someone else than him can actually recognize what it is. And then we have Chase Cloud helping us with making these wonderful illustrations that go alongside the building steps in the building instructions. And yeah, that's basically a short breakdown of the process, of course, while taking into consideration all of the other things that are in place, like because it is quite complex in finding where are those points in the model. So we need to speak with the designers, making sure that they build the model in a certain way, that it also lends itself to the storytelling moment, that we have the breaks at the right point where we can weave in the story moments and where we have the decisive choice moments. So we finish the basic model, and then the kids can choose from there, do we choose this path or that path? So here we have an example of the interior. I'll just do a quick run through. So basically the children get invited into the dream world. What is it? And you see our heroes, look over their shoulders and see all the opportunities, all the different worlds that we can go into. Transition into the building instructions. These are some of the woven in steps that we need to consider. Then if you move on, we see the introduction of our heroes. So we have, in this case, Izzy in the real world where she's still in her bed, and then transitioning into the dream world with the building instruction steps in between where you get to assemble the heroes. So it's interlinked in that sense.
Which was another very important thing, because if you just put a picture somewhere, the kids are in the process of building, and they want to continue to build because they would just flick over it. But if it's integrated like that, you have the character, you need to build the character, you put him to the adventure, then it's actually in flow, and they can engage with that.
Yeah, I guess from there we follow the character, we have the scenario. A nightmare comes in and takes the friends, so Izzy crafts her big companion, and then the kids start building the big companion and move on from there until you get to the point where you've completed the companion, and then you can choose, do I want to upgrade with rocket roller skates and chase after the nightmares, or do I want to take to the skies and turn Bunchu into a bee and ride on his back to hunt them down and get back my friends? And here we have basically the final end. You've completed the model, and then you get the invitation to play in the story mode, like what do I do with the model? I have the first scenario, the first step on my adventure.
And it's another great example, what I said before, is the storytelling media. What media do you have? What kind of stories can you tell there? And what is the purpose of them? I think that's very interesting how we can travel that throughout the different aspects of this new line.
Exactly, yeah. And here you see the final product, how it plays out, children playing with it. They have their whole model spread out. They choose, okay, where do I go from here? And yes, as Jim was saying, the medium is, it's what you have to work with. So in the case of the building instructions, the story has to be broken down to each individual model. It's not a massive story that's told in the show. That's another medium that plays into this IP. But in the building instructions, it's really like, you have the ingredients right there, here now, and that's what you need to use to get the storyline to achieve what you want.
So with that said, thank you very much for your attention, and we are open for questions.
Come on. Hey guys, thank you so much for this. I have a million questions myself, but any one of you can drop a line here at slide.do. You can scan the QR code to use that hashtag. So let's torture them for another hour. So before, I'll just give the audience a couple of minutes so they can dial in their own. But before that, thanks for letting us under the hood in the kitchen. I really enjoyed that for once. To me, like, the future of entertainment kind of sounds super cross-media all over the place. So, you know, you go play the game, then you go watch the show, then you buy the toys or whatever. So you're kind of in and out, immersing yourself in this endless world of joy that you love, the characters that you love. And for me, like, Lego was always the perfect example. You know, like, you kind of invented it, or at least you're doing it very, very well. Obviously, Dreams is this next level of immersive experience. So what I wanted to ask you, how one creates such thing? I mean, like, no offense, guys, but you're from Lego. You have all the resources in the world. And like many of us here in the audience do not. And we also dream of creating something like that. So if I'm limited on resources, where should I start? I mean, like, what's the most important thing? How can I kind of line up all of these activities that you just showcased so I can start growing this organically? What do you think?
I mean, the first thing, if you create something, there's two ways of seeing it. Like, one thing is like it should start from your heart. You know, if you burn for something and there's passion in it, it's a great starting point. But then you also need to use your mind and actually reflect on it and say, like, okay, do I just do that because I love these characters or whatsoever? But who do I actually want to tell that story? Is it my children? Is it my friend or whatsoever? To really go and engage with these thoughts of, like, is there a world that I want to create that has an audience, basically? Or am I the audience? Do I represent enough nerds around the world that I can actually, you know, get this out there? And the thing is, like, you should never stop, you know? You should just continue starting.
Yeah, if I can add to that, I think, yeah, knowing your target group is the first thing. But also, when you're creating the IP, I think we've heard it several times today, also think big, think ahead. Like, you don't just create one little stepstone, but make it expandable. So, like, already think ahead, how can I create it so that it's expandable, I can grow it, I can make it bigger, I can go new places, because that's something you might trip over later if you don't think it in from the beginning. So where does it go?
I mean, you don't need to go Lord of the Rings style, you know, like write everything down to the little detail. No. But you kind of have to make sure, like, what is it and where do you want to do it? Because storytelling in games is very different, but it also needs to have that underlayer of lore, basically.
So know your audience, follow your guts, sell to your kids first. If they buy it, then the rest of the world. I'm just gonna give the mic to Alex, my colleague from Chase Cloud. She's gonna run through some of your questions. So let's see what the audience want to know from you guys.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me well?
No.
Hello.
Yes.
Yep. Hello. I have a lot of questions here, so thank you to everyone who tuned in, and keep asking questions because, guys, keep asking questions because we don't have that much time, but we can take some. Okay, so the first question, I think I'm in kind of is a mix of some of the questions here. So I'm gonna like kind of do it in my style. So how long does it take to create from start to finish such process, and what do you take into consideration? Which are the most important parts? What parts take most of your time when creating such a concept?
I mean, like, we started this journey, man. Matt, when did we start this?
4 years.
4 years ago. 4 years ago. So we started it until the content just came out, like, what, in April, the first season? Yeah. The products came out now in June. So when I started, I still had a brown beard, you know. So that is how much it takes, kind of. Like, of course, it depends on the complexity of the project. It can take shorter, but 2 to 3 years is the normal development time that you have to put into consideration. And then it's because it's not only us doing this stuff and say, ah, this is great, we're going to do it. Because there's many, many different aspects of it, like who is doing the content? Can we get the writers on board? You know, do they like the storyline? Can they engage with it? And further down the line, like, you need to make products and models out of that. Do the designers engage with the concept? Do they understand it? So the pinpoints is, of course, the most, if I get it right, like, what is the most important pinpoints there is the thing that you're doing adding to the world that we are in. That's the first part. And then, can you predict the future? So in 3 years it will come out. What are the trends that you see in society, cultural behavior right now that can be reflected? Because your audience has a different frame set of understanding now than in 3 years. And there is some things like, where is the movie industry going? Where's the game industry going? Because they have these like ahead of development time that you can see, like, with these, you can kind of forecast, oh yeah, by that year, everybody would know Max or whatsoever, because it's the big year of this and this and that. So you can actually take that into consideration.
Okay, thank you. In your presentation, you talked a lot about the involvement of children in the testing and the creative conceptness. We have a question here which asks, what's the most surprising but useful insight you got from children on Dreams Universe?
The most
useful insight?
Most useful, most surprising, but useful. So something you didn't expect.
I mean that Dreams is such a foundation for creativity. I mean, we kind of know that, but it's all around the world, you know. And dreams are all equal around the world, because we had the opportunity to go to US, China. We went to Germany. And I'm German myself, and the German kids, they are very logical, you know, like, everything needs to make sense within the parameters that they are living in. But because we shifted it to the dream world, it was like a world of endless possibilities, and you can fly, and you can mix a turtle with a caravan. It is absolutely, it makes sense in that way. Anything?
Just to build on that, I remember the first test when we showed this concept, and as soon as you ask kids about dreams, they explode. I mean, they were like kids dancing on the table and like, I dream about this. And it was like, dreams is not what just happens when you're sleeping. It's just, like you said, it's all the time. And it's just synonymous for endless creativity. Yeah. And I think that's what exploded this whole concept from the beginning.
I think for me to add to that, personally, I think it was also like, we saw the choice moment of where we could go with the creativity. And I think in the beginning we had many more options. So you would go many places, but always remember who you're talking to. And we had to, you know, like, it's been cooking with us for so long, so we went all over the place, but we had to, like, reel it back in and make it bite-sized and understandable for the kids. And like, wow, these 2 options are actually already a lot for the kids to comprehend. So that's, it's the perfect starting point, because in the beginning we imagined, oh, we could go many more places and endless opportunities, but translating it into building 2 options is amazing. So that was also a big surprise. We're like, wow, we could do so much, but it's...
and kids and management, they have something in common. They're ruthless. they will tell you in the face if it works or not, you know. So that's another great insight.
That's very useful, right?
Oh yeah, brutal honesty.
Thank you, guys. So obviously, these guys here, one of your main job is to put together a strong creative team, right? Because all of the amazing things that you shared need amazing people behind it, and a lot of people from our audience are actually super curious. What does it take for one to actually land in your creative team? So could you share a little bit about how you pick up people? What are you looking for? Concept artists, creators, how does it work?
I mean, what we're looking for is the right mindset, you know. Be friendly, be who you are, you know, be creative. It doesn't matter if you're introvert or extrovert, you know, it's just like bring yourself to work, you know, because like we go like this to work, you know. My father always said like, why don't you wear a suit? You know, it's like, I don't want to wear a suit. And it's more about that mindset. It's the mindset of like, you know, being creative and also being willing to learn. And also to understand it's a process that you sometimes have to kill your darlings. And that's what I mean with the right mindset. Because not everything that you do is gold. You might think, but maybe it will prove wrong. And then it's like, okay, then let's take it as a learning and do something. So that mindset of not giving up. And then on the other side, there's always like the open applications. You know, when there's something out there, you can actually apply for different jobs if it's in model design, if it's in concept art, if it's graphic design, so the people that are doing the minifigures, if it's in our game department and so on. So there's many opportunities.
Or you can just catch these guys in the halls and pitch your portfolio.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
That's sadly not how it works anymore.
Oh, come on, give us a slack.
I think to add to that, we're quite an international team. And I think you literally can go to lego.com, look under the jobs, and apply there. And we have people from all over the world, all kinds of profiles, all kinds of different creative things that you can do, from concept art, graphic design, building with actual Lego bricks, to story, concepting. There's so many things, like just apply, basically. And I think part of the mindset is, it's be a team player. Like there are no one-man armies in Lego. It's basically you're working in a massive creative team, so you also need to be able to thrive in that environment. So.
Okay, thank you for this. I think we have time for 2 more questions, maybe, because there is a break after this, so I'll torment you a bit more. Anonymous asks, when it comes to Marvel and DC, it's easy to create a character because you have the foundation, but how do you make a character from a brand new IP so memorable?
So, oh man, of course the first thing is you have to trust your guts, you know, you need to see like what works and what not in that sense, and then you need to iterate and simplify, and don't be shy to kill it, do it again, try it, show different options. I mean, everybody in the game industry at least knows, like when you do character designs, they do pages of them, and then they see what works. Do we want a chubby character, a slim character? What kind of clothes does he have? And it's more about like what do you emotionally connect to? Because maybe for some it's the looks, you know, oh yes, dreads, that's cool, you know. But for others it's actually what he stands for. And I think that is the importance to create those, you know, memorable characters, and of course to repeat it. I mean, that's why Spider-Man looks like Spider-Man. Like, and everybody knows Spider-Man. There's the blue and the red and the Spider-Man costume. It's very iconic in that. And of course we are in a different age now, where you see stuff like Fortnite, where it's like super crazy cool characters, and they're not like so stereotypical. But it also shows where we are in the zeitgeist, yeah.
And also, just to build a little on that, when we show the designs to the kids, I think it would be the same with kids and adults. You know, they're excited about it when they can't stop talking. They start to create stories of their own, and that's what we're looking for whether we're testing or designing worlds or characters, whatever ingredient. When they're silent, you know, okay, it's not working, but you can just sense the excitement. And that's when you know you got something to latch onto.
Right, thank you. I have an interesting one that's basically is like when you know that the ideas are too many or too big. I mean, how do you know when you cross that chasm of going too wild?
When there's silence.
Yeah, that's a good indicator.
You know what? I just didn't understand your question.
Already. How do you simplify big ideas, and how do you know when you have added too many ideas to a project?
Okay, you simplify ideas, and how do you know that is when you know you can pitch it in an elevator. The simple elevator pitch. If you understand that you can put things in 3 sentences and you can tell somebody about it, then you know you're at the core, and then you can start like adding, you know, the ingredients to further, put some taste into that. But I think that's more the way. Can I tell the kids? Can I tell management in a couple of sentences what this is all about? I think then you know you are on the base level of it.
And you mentioned the kids, of course. As Cerim mentioned, we have a lot of tests with the children, and of course from their reaction we can deduce. Like if there's excitement in the room, then we've struck on something. If there's silence, maybe we need to reiterate or add something or build on it, or maybe it's just the wrong concept altogether. So we do have a lot of times where we go out and we test things and just it ends in the bin. So that's a long process with a funnel.
What's going to be a super easy and cheap way to test?
I mean, it just gets some. That's what I mean. The audience is there. Like you can just go out to your neighbors. You know, you can if you do something with kids, like see where can you. Is it like the friends of your children, for instance? So it's somebody that is not emotionally connected to you, that you then can expose that stuff to and see like, do they understand it? Yes, I got it. When they understand it, then the likelihood. So you can actually do DIY testings. You don't need the whole shebang. You just need to have the right mindset that you don't want to trick yourself in believing what you're doing is right. I think that takes the guts to actually go out. If you show this to a friend, like you did a comic book or whatever, and he said, "Oh man, that sucks so much," you know, like, and then you feel like but I put so much work into this, you know, and that of course should not shy you away if you really want to succeed on something like that.
Be honest to yourself.
Be honest to yourself. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
It's hard.
Brutal.
I
Grow a
think
thick skin.
The elevator pitch, the saying, I'm going to use it because it's definitely what we also should use in our business. I think we didn't spoke about challenges. What are, for example, 3 challenges that you face when in the designing process of this?
I mean, the challenge here was really to create something that works for all. Because, to the vast world of dream world, is everything is full of possibilities, then you almost get nothing. So you have to define that in the right way. You need to define, the property, if it's an inclusive property, that it doesn't, expel somebody, but it creates the entrances that you want. And just finding that right balance, it's actually quite a big challenge, because we are so different. Everybody is so different. Kids are so different, and somebody likes this or that. So you kind of have to really make sure you hit the balance right, and you don't fall left or you don't fall right. I think that was a big challenge. And then also like the core of value of Lego. Okay, how do we do that, and what does that mean? And then translate it into something that is actually fun, cool, understandable, and so on. That is, of course, also another challenge we encouraged in that way of creating this.
What about the play experience, Martin?
Sorry?
What about the play experience challenges?
That's part of it. Basically, I mean, as I mentioned, you have all these puzzle pieces that need to be connected somehow, and you need to emulate what you have as an intellectual property, as an IP, like, and refine it down to what is the product we're actually doing. So finding the right beats for the story moments, making sure that everyone in this long line of production understands what we're trying to do internally, making sure that they do it, like, because it does mean we have some set processes, and it does mean they need to adapt, they need to change, they need to think this in, weave it in, and that was, yeah, some legwork to get everyone to pull all the strings together and make them connect in the end.
What about you, Matt, and the concept art?
Well, so of course in the world of concept art, you can do anything. You're just pushing pixels around, and you can draw things like, an MC Escher, impossible things, but as soon as you have to translate it into a physical Lego toy, that's where we spend a ton of time trying to just distill, of course, the essence of the play and how you can just make something that's stable enough and fun enough to play with and still allow all this kind of modular interconnectivity. And I think that's where I'm happy to, my work stops at the concept art. I don't actually build anything, so I create a lot of challenges for the ones building the products.
He's creating the challenges. It's like, it's so cool, how can we do it?
5 minutes of your time, and then they have to work for days and days.
Yep.
Okay, guys, one last, and we'll let you go because everyone here needs some break. I wonder, and I think that a lot of people here wonder as well, are we going to see a game with dreams?
That is clouded in the future.
Mystery.
Clouded in the future.
Noted that I tried. Thank you so much. Cerim, Matt, Martin, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Please send them with your warmest. Thank you.